Hello, all sentient beings, and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk all news, comics, and media related to thee. On this episode, we review Transformers Shattered Glass, number 5 from IDW Publishing. And we've got a bunch of Transformers media announcements from last week's Hasbro Fan First Tuesday. Today is Friday, April 22nd, 2022, and this is episode 282 of Transmissions Alt Mode. Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that shatters the glass ceiling of your expectations. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
The amazing and awesome producer and editor, Mike.
I'm finally seeing those cracks in that glass ceiling.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian beast.
Did the ceiling really need to be broken? It was so nice. Stock Transformers.
Now it's going to leak and we're going to get rain all over us. So sad.
As always, we start the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you so much for continuing to help us out and help keep the show going. If you'd like to become a Donatreon, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. And next week, we've got the very next episode of Empire of Rust, episode 74, our Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Wild Ones, a Khan clone story. This is going to be out for everyone on the main feed, the free feed, so transmissionspodcast.com/rust. And this is, we're almost to the end of the Vault of Stars story arc. So this is the second to last episode in that arc. Is that correct, Mike?
I believe you're correct, although there is going to be a little bit of bleed over as we transition to the next arc with the next one there. So two and a half-ish, you know.
All right. Well, everyone check that out. And yeah, it will be coming this Monday. Of course, if you are a Donatreon, you already have access to the bonus uncut version of this episode, and you've already listened to it, hopefully, since
so
it's been out for a week.
I have access to this?
Well, you should. I mean, do you have access to the things you created? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just looking at like all the Patreon stuff over here. What else do I get as a Patreon that I'm not getting at, that I'm not seeing?
We'll put you in touch with tech support after the show, Mike.
Are you saying I could win a Toy Hacks gift certificate?
Well, no.
Well, surely
Sorry.
I could be entered into like all these like giveaways and contests you guys have, right?
No.
You're not selling the Patreon here, Charles.
I'm sorry. It's a special when you actually work on the show, you can't win any of the prizes. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Anyway, let's jump into some comic news. So the bulk of the Fan First Tuesday discussion, and we talked about that in the toy show this week, that was all focused on toys, but they did have a little bit of both media and comics news sprinkled throughout the presentation. So in comics, we did get a kind of a reminder of the comics coming out. We've got the Beast Wars 2022 annual that's coming out April 20th, so actually this week. It's already out, actually, so it's on comic stores right now, so go check it out. We've got the Last Bot Standing comic, that miniseries coming starting May 11th. We've got the final issue of the Transformers ongoing. That started in 2019. This is going on sale May 18th, and this is issue 43. They're ending with issue 43. Not a particularly round number, but I guess that's where the series ends, where it ends. And then the final issue of War's End, the miniseries that is the parallel with the ongoing comic, that's ending on, that series is final issue is going to be May 25th. So looks like we're getting to the finish line of the IDW Transformers comics, and the license will be transferring to a new owner next year at some point, we hope. But IDW is definitely ending their Transformers comics this year. So looks like not much on the horizon right now. So, but we will continue to cover them as they come out.
It's a little sad. I thought they would have continued on throughout this year for a bit and ended it a bit closer to like October or November or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there's some special stuff coming out. I mean, there is supposed to be a special issue ending the Transformers. It's was called, like, in the solicits, it's just called Transformers Special. So I wonder what that is going to be. But it's supposed to be like a end to the series. But we haven't gotten any details on that yet. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if there's anything else. I mean, the solicits for the rest of the year are not out yet, so we might still see some final Transformers content coming out. But we'll keep you appraised. All right, let's get into our comic review. So this is we've had a little bit of a delay getting back to the Shattered Glass series, but we were finally going to tackle the final Shattered Glass issue. So this is Shattered Glass number 5, written by Danny Lohr, art by Guido Guidi, inks by Matt Frus, colors by John Paul Bove, letters by Neil Uyetake, editor Riley Farmer, supervising editor David Marriott, designed by Jake Wood and Johanna Natali. So we've got 4 covers. Cover A is Jetfire holding Starscream's severed head, and this is a nod to Derek Yaniger's G2 number 5 comic, Generation 2 number 5 cover, and that's by Alex Milne. This art is by Alex Milne. Cover B is Megatron posing for a fight with Optimus Prime looming in the background. That's by Guido Guidi. The retailer incentive is a Jetfire profile by Sarah Peter Durocher. And then the retailer exclusive, this is the Hasbro, the cover that's packed in with the toy, is the Jetfire action pose by KCW Collar. So, Mike, which of these 4 covers do you take a liking to?
All of them, I think, are pretty decent this time around. I think I am going to have to go with that G2 homage, though. I'm sorry, who did you say it was by? I was actually looking at the covers when you were saying it.
So the original G2 cover was by Derek Yaniger, and this one is by Alex Milne.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Alex's then. Yeah, I like it. It speaks to me.
Cool. Daryl is picking cover A by Alex Milne. Go ahead, Daryl. Prove me wrong.
It's, you're for once. I'm probably going to go in a. No, I can't. I'm going with Alex's cover. Of course, I am. It's everyone else's covers. They all look great. They all really do. And Sarah's really is a very good cover. Her whole series of the figures, essentially it's almost like just a headshot with the glass smashing around it. They all look great. And Casey's exclusive covers are really great looking as well. But Alex's, but the G2 homages, man, these are fantastic. I guess they're not all G2 homages, but this one is. And every cover he did was an homage to an earlier piece of fiction or earlier cover. So they're fantastic. I make no excuses for my my love of his work, and I love seeing these homages as well. So yeah, let's go, Alex.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, no one's blaming you, Daryl. Alex is a great artist, so it's not surprising to consistently rank his art as very top. So
I feel like I have to defend it sometimes. Not his art, my complete and utter admiration for it. So
we understand. You're Canadian. He's Canadian. You kind of have to. It's national pride.
I mean, we have to back each other up.
Not that Sarah also lives in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, if Alex wasn't part of this, because I mean, he lives closer to me, so I'd have to go with Sarah's then.
It has nothing to do with the fact that they're both great artists.
It helps. But it's national pride, like Jeremy
Yeah.
said. Oh,
All right, Jeremy.
Canada. Was I not supposed to sing right there? I thought I was supposed to sing.
You can sing, just go on mute. All right, Jeremy, which cover are you picking?
Well, I mean, they are all good this week, but, Alas, Poor Starscream, that, you can't not go with that one. That's just an amazing image, an amazing homage to the original G2 cover. So that's the one I chose.
And I will make it unanimous with the cover A, Alex Milne's homage. It's a great image. It's very cool. I mean, the original from the G2 comic was a classic image of Megatron holding the skull of Bludgeon after murdering him. So yeah, this is taking that to the next level, and it's great. And really got to commend Alex on the coloring too, because he's been doing his own colors on these covers all this year, or since last year, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it's really well done. And that Autobot symbol is not a stamp; that is drawn.
It's true. He's one of a rare breed now that'll draw the symbol on there.
Yeah,
at any angle.
Yep.
I think all of them all of them on this book are ones that draw it. I mean, well, I guess Sarah's doesn't have a faction logo on it, but we know that she's capable of drawing it, and Guido and Casey both do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into the story. Jetfire has Starscream captured in his lab inside Gold City. He is trying to extract the key to controlling the Titan Metroplex from Starscream's spark, but Goldbug has grown impatient. He's ready to kill Starscream now and extract the key from his dead body. Conflicted, Jetfire reflects and flashes back to all the choices he's made. How he and Starscream started out as friends and fellow scientists, but Jetfire sided with the Autobots since they could bring order to Cybertron while the Decepticons only promised chaos. But now Jetfire is not so sure he made the right choice. Goldbug has become increasingly frustrated and unstable. He releases Starscream from the bonds, holding him to the wall, only to drop him on the floor and continue beating him. As Goldbug continues to pound on him, Starscream goads him further with just his words. He taunts Goldbug with the fact that Megatron and the Decepticons are about to overrun Gold City and bring his little empire down. Goldbug becomes fully enraged. Jetfire sees now that the Autobots don't represent order. They're nothing but petty tyrants who can't even control their emotions in the face of Starscream's words. And Jetfire finally reacts by sucker punching Goldbug in the face. Jetfire goes to help Starscream up, asking forgiveness for betraying him to the Autobots so long ago. Starscream says his actions speak loud enough and welcomes back his former friend. But their reunion is short-lived. Goldbug takes advantage of their distraction to grab his gun and shoot Starscream in the back. It's not a fatal wound, but Goldbug isn't done. Before Jetfire can stop him, Goldbug reaches into the hole in Starscream's back and rips out his spark out of his chest. Starscream's body collapses lifeless. The screams of agony, both Starscream's and Jetfire's, echo throughout Gold City, and all Autobots and Decepticons pause their battle briefly after hearing the cry. Jetfire is still so in shock that he doesn't even try to stop Goldbug from escaping with Starscream's spark. Jetfire is racked with grief and regret for how he betrayed his friend, but Starscream never stopped believing in him and giving him a chance to redeem himself. As more Autobot troops arrive to cover Goldbug's escape, Jetfire's grief turns to rage. He brutally takes the Throttlebots apart as they try to stop him from leaving Gold City. When his attackers are dealt with, he takes Starscream's body and flies into the night. He doesn't care where he goes as long as it is away from Gold City. In the air, Megatron sees Jetfire carrying Starscream away. Megatron transforms to jet mode and intercepts Jetfire, knocking him out of the sky. Jetfire drops Starscream's body as Megatron curses him for getting Starscream killed. Jetfire spirals out of control. He blames everyone for Starscream's death. Autobots for killing him, Decepticons for starting the war, Megatron for recruiting Starscream to a lost cause. But most of all, Jetfire blames himself for betraying Starscream in the first place. Finally, Megatron takes hold of Jetfire, telling him to stop. The time for blame is over. Now they have to move on and make Cybertron a better place to give Starscream's legacy meaning. Jetfire finally calms down and agrees that Megatron is right. Megatron asks Jetfire if he'll help track down Goldbug and recover Starscream's spark before he can use it to revive the Titan. Jetfire says he'll consider it and transforms to fly away. As he leaves, he tells Megatron to make sure that Starscream's memorial is suitably dramatic. He would have wanted it that way. In a hidden chamber beneath Gold City, a shadowy cloaked figure secretly activates a communication terminal. Autobot spy Slicer contacts his boss, Ultra Magnus. He tells Magnus that Goldbug's empire has collapsed and Megatron has taken the city. But Goldbug does still have Starscream's spark, and he might know how to use it. Ultra Magnus considers that it is only a matter of time. Both Prowl and Optimus Prime will be looking for Goldbug to take that spark from him and gain control of the Titan. Because he who controls the Titans controls Cybertron. And this is the end? Question mark? So this is I would say this is a bit. I mean, this 5-part story kind of didn't go anywhere. I guess this is a bit unsatisfying ending to the Shattered Glass series. Like, I mean, it's clearly set up to be continuing to maybe another miniseries or something, but we know that's probably not going to happen now since this license with IDW is ending, so probably won't be seeing more Shattered Glass comics at least for a little while. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty downer ending. Nothing's. I mean, very little's resolved in this. I mean, I do like it's good action with. I mean, particularly that page with Goldbug reaching into Starscream's body and grabbing his spark. That's a very dynamic, awesome image. So really, kudos to Guido Guidi for the art in this book, and Matt Froese and John Paul Bove. But I don't know. It felt very much. It was a very long monologue for Jetfire with a little bit of action sprinkled in, and then the ending kind of just left me cold. Like, I was like, that's it. That's the end. So I don't know. It wasn't my favorite issue. Daryl, any thoughts on this issue?
Well, I mean, the whole series kind of, I got to thinking that this, that Starscream was essentially a dead man the whole series. Now to get to the end and finally is, kind of dragged it out a bit. I thought he was dead in issue 2. So to find out that he's lasted to issue 5 before he actually bit it was quite the surprise. The violent way that he actually did die was, I appreciated the violence. The part where I was kind of surprised, in G1, it's kind of known that, Starscream and Jetfire, they're partners. They work together. They're scientists, and they kind of had this mutual respect for each other before Starscream kind of got corrupted by the Decepticon side and went off and did his own thing. Now, here in the Shattered Glass universe, it appears as though there's this romantic connection between them, and that's new for this kind of relationship. And I don't know whether I want that in this for these two characters. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Shattered Glass, but for characters that I always thought were work colleagues and that kind of stuff, mutually respected scientists that for them to develop a relationship is something that I never really kind of put on them. Now, this also kind of puts Jetfire as being a bit of a wimp. Obviously he gets enraged and destroys, a number of characters here. One, like, knocking one's head right off, tearing the arms off of another Throttlebot. But up until that point, he's really a bit of a pushover. It maybe the characterization of him being a scientist coming through, and he's, that G1 pacifism is still center stage, because he'd rather not fight. He'd rather be the scientist than fight. But it's interesting to see what kinds of characteristics they picked from the G1 counterpart and to go with, and the ones that they chose to change. But as far as the story goes, I really do agree with you. This really did kind of go nowhere, and I think it's fairly obvious that this was meant to be a multi-part, series, as made evident by the fact that we've, just seen in the toys. We've got, an Ultra Magnus that's been just officially announced. We've got the Soundwave has been, the Blaster has been leaked. So, we've gotten 2 figures that are supposed to be coming out, in the next little while. They would likely be, the next part of the next series. So, perhaps whoever takes this license over will be asked to continue it on, from Hasbro. I highly doubt that, but, you can kind of hope. I don't know. I just, reading this 5-issue, mini, I really didn't find myself invested or caring about either side. Obviously each issue was supposed to kind of feature the character that it was packed in with. And, I don't know. I just, I guess maybe my bias against, Shattered Glass is still kind of, influencing my decisions on this. But, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I just didn't like it. I don't know what else I can say about it. It really didn't grab me. It didn't fill any of my holes, Charles.
Fair enough. Mike, how about you?
I'm actually going to disagree with a bunch of what Daryl said. It fills all the holes for me, so that's fine.
Oh.
I actually like what they did with Jetfire's story arc in this one. I do like that he is conflicted about kind of what's going on. I don't actually get the romantic vibe from a lot of the interactions. I mean, I can see why you kind of went that way, but I don't. That's not the vibe that I get from it. So, this whole issue felt more like a character defining piece than anything else. It felt like the kind of ending of Jetfire's arc in this case, and I like that they went a little bit different than what happened in G1. Because in G1 he started off as a Decepticon, and then, or at least in the cartoon, he started off as a Decepticon and then turned to the Autobots. It kind of went a little opposite on this one. He started off as, as a scientist, went to the Autobots, then went to the Decepticons, but not in the same kind of order that he did in the cartoon. So I do like that bit of difference. That was nice. I guess why it doesn't, none of it bothered me or anything was simply because, that arc was... it felt like a completion for his arc, for that story, for his interactions. And even though Starscream was one of the main characters, or I should say the main character throughout most of these Shattered Glass stories, Jetfire was always there in the background. So I view it as a Jetfire story almost as much as a Starscream story. But yeah, so, and I get there wasn't a whole lot of action there either, and that's fine. The part that did confuse me, or just kind of left me feeling a little flat, was that ending page where the Titan's coming up. It's supposed to be this big oh shit kind of moment, but we know that nothing else is coming, so it's going to be unresolved. And that silhouette, is that actually supposed to be Goldbug who's summoning him?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he has the spark.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're led to believe that Goldbug is now going to be in control of a Titan? Okay.
Well, the page before, Ultra Magnus did say that Goldbug would probably figure out how to use the spark.
Yeah, I get it. Just, it's an interesting direction to go. I don't know.
It just feels like you're cutting off at the the end is in the middle of the story. It seems like.
Yeah, exactly. You would think that is kind of a big, key, important part of this arc of this story, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And we know why it's not going anywhere, but still, like, that part feels flat for me. But the Jetfire and Starscream storyline, it doesn't. It feels like a complete story, and I do enjoy the interactions, and I enjoy, like, the more character-driven arc between the two of them. I was kind of surprised to see Starscream die, but, I mean, looking back on it, it's like, yeah, this is... it shouldn't have been unexpected, but to me, it was a bit of a surprise. So I do like that. I did like that moment where it's like, oh, boom, he got hit in the back. It's like, he missed the spark. And it's like, oh, nope, got it. So that was good. I enjoyed that. But yeah, so overall, I didn't mind it at all. A couple of the ending wasn't great, but the ending of the Jetfire's arc, I thought, or Jetfire and Starscream's arc, I thought was solid and was good. So I enjoyed that part.
Okay, and Jeremy, we come to you.
All right. Start off with what I liked. The book was beautiful. The art from everyone he's mentioned, Guido, JP, Matt Frosey on the inks. It was just fantastic. Nothing bad about the art at all. It was just from first page to last, it was great. The story was disappointing because knowing this was the last issue, I'm like trying to see how they're gonna end it from where they're going, and the story just kind of keeps on as if there's it's not going to end in like a satisfying manner, and then it didn't end in a very satisfying manner. So I'm not sure really what to think. Clearly they were planning for a second miniseries, and with IDW ending, we would have had it solicited by now if they were doing it. But then again, with the Ultra Magnus announcement and the blaster the blaster that we know that's coming, I'm not sure what to think. Although while y'all were talking and I was like in the Discord kind of going back and forth with some people, wondering now, and I looked on the Ultra Magnus comes out in October. What if they're going to go with another miniseries that is with the new publisher, whoever it's going to be, and they're already planning on that. They have all the rights to do all this, and I think without a second series, this is just a very disappointing miniseries because it doesn't really you don't really have a conclusion to the story, and that's really frustrating as a reader.
It would be really interesting to see, because I don't think any publishers have really continued on a story from like the previous publisher. Like IDW didn't do that to Dreamwave. Dreamwave technically didn't.
IDW did that with Marvel.
They did, yeah.
So, I mean, and it's a licensed comic, so Hasbro has the right to do that. And I mean, I know like when Marvel took over the Star Wars stuff again, they didn't really continue anything because it had all reset. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did at some point do some follow up to some old Legend stories. And Hasbro can, and they've done it with the G.I. Joe stuff with
the Real American
the Larry
Hero,
Hama. Yeah, so I could see them doing it. They haven't announced it, and I'm guessing we're not going to get any announcement until all the IDW stuff has finally finished. But it really wouldn't surprise me now that I'm working this out in my head. When they announce the new publisher, what if they announce it as this is the new publisher? They're going to come out with like this G1 based series, and they're going to have the surprising, second Shattered Glass mini series continuing on the story with creative team Guido Guidi and everybody.
Playing devil's advocate on it, I can see the reason they wouldn't would be because they want to clearly delineate their publishing line from the previous one.
Right. And
so, yeah.
I fully believe realistically you're right, but just as someone that was unsatisfied in the way that this miniseries ended,
sure,
I'm kind of hoping that the existence of new figures that were, we haven't seen Blaster really much at all, and Ultra Magnus was just this one panel here, so I'm hoping, but you're probably right.
All right, well, that's our review of Transformers Shattered Glass number 5, and that ends the Shattered Glass miniseries. So let's move on to Transformers Media News.
All right, so in gaming news, we have an update with the 5th anniversary of Forged to Fight, the other mobile game that is still going on. The one that doesn't really get a whole lot of press or us talking about it. But yes, they are having their 5th anniversary celebration, and they have just released a new video showcasing some gameplay and world footage here. So it's going to take place on New Quintessa. The video looks interesting, and it is. A lot of the footage on there is not the same. It's not like in-game footage or anything, but it's more cinematic footage. It looks good. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so. Looks like they are making a new story for this 5th anniversary and adding a new world to it. Also, there is going to be Rodimus Prime coming to Forged to Fight as a playable character later this summer. So if you are still playing, or if you haven't started playing Forged to Fight, it is still going strong. So, yeah. And that's it for gaming news. So, Daryl, why don't you continue on this media news bonanza?
All right. In TV streaming stuff, we got a book. It's an art book for the making of the War for Cybertron series. So people like their art books, and it shows concept work for the Netflix series and toy design and interviews. So if you want to get this book, you can pre-order it. It's up on Amazon.com. I'm sure it's probably up on .ca as well. Let me just Amazon.ca as well. So it's $54 to pre-order on Amazon.ca. I don't know what it is on .com. It didn't come up as .com for me, but
$40. Actually, I just pre-ordered it.
Oh, well, there you go. So it's written in the thing there. So that's convenient for me. So if you like art books, and a lot of people do, you can pre-order it there, and you can get it. Next up, we got a G1 Bible supplement, and it's an addendum to you can for new products, and this is for Omega Supreme, and this is just a page out of the original 84 G1 Bible, and this is just talking about Omega Supreme and what he is, apparently, his abilities, his profile, and it is, so you can take a look at that. This is very cool, old school stuff, so you can see it here with the link in the show notes there. And lastly, in movie news, we've got our first looks at Transformers: Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime CGI render, and this is on it's a licensed stationery folder for the upcoming movie. So this licensed merchandise that would have been perfectly timed if the movie came out this year since it's been pushed back. We're going to start seeing all this stuff. So you can take a look at this stationery folder, and you'll see what Optimus Prime is going to look like. And I mean, he looks kind of like a movie version of the G1 Optimus Prime, which is kind of what we all liked about the first 5 minutes of the Bumblebee movie. So that looks pretty cool. That's what you get on the front of the folder, and on the back you get this kind of Aztec Mayan. I'm assuming it's Mayan because that's where they are in Peru. Mayan kind of relic-looking thing with all these kind of beast-looking symbols in it, with a lot of green coming through. So so there you go. That's one of the items that we're going to start seeing a lot of this crap pop up from now until when the movie comes out. So yeah, you can get a quick look at what Optimus Prime's robot mode looks like with this product folder here, this But yeah, that's it for media news.
All right, let's move on to convention news.
All right, we're starting to get the TFCon Toronto updates, and they're starting off here this week with Jack Lawrence, who is a comic book artist he was on Lost Light, and he most recently did Wreckers, Tread, and Circuits. Actually, I think more recently did, what was it that we reviewed last week?
He's doing War's End. He's doing the art on War's End.
Yeah, War's End. Yeah, I don't know why my mind just blanked, but yeah, he's doing a great job on War's End too. So he will be there. And then also, they have announced that Paul Davids, who was production coordinator and writer on G1, is going to be attending, and he'll have a Q&A panel and autograph sessions. So I don't remember seeing his name at any recent conventions. So nice to have someone else from G1 that's like not on the voice acting side, but he'll have probably a lot of good stories about some of the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah. Great seeing him there, and that is all the convention news we have this week.
All right, and we will finish up the show with feedback.
Boy, do I have a lot of feedback.
You're on the show, Mike. You can't give feedback.
Shut me down.
All right. This is responding to our discussion from last week about third-party toys. Daryl, maybe I'm going to hand it over to you because you got into it with our listener on Discord a little bit.
I didn't get into it. I just discussed it.
Yeah, I didn't mean any negative connotation. I was just saying.
That's where I come from. Getting into it is an argument.
Okay, there was no argument. Yes.
Let's just get into it.
So let's get. We're gonna drop the gloves here. Let's go. So on Discord, one of our listeners, Ichabod Drift, wrote to me specifically and asked and said, just listen to Alt Mode from last week, 281. And wanted to give a bit of info and perspective on Marcelo's problem, as I'm primarily a third-party collector of Legend scale. Mechanic Studio does do originally engineered figures. They've done 4 triple changers. They've done 4 of the triple changers, then Trax, Hot Rod, and a few more. They're all quite popular in this particular community because they're good, and it seems they use all of their actual KO branded stuff under Mech Fans Toys to help fund these figures. Not condoning their theft of artwork, just a minor nitpick on the analysis. So he goes on to say, as far as the bigger problem at large of IP theft, I hate that Marcel had his work pirated, but capitalism is inherently cutthroat no matter what product we're discussing. Everyone from myself to juggernauts like Disney are trying to get as much back while giving as little in return. Let's also think about Hasbro Takara's own IP dodging when every vehicle and aircraft manufacturer nowadays, except the rare instance of Volkswagen or Ford, here or there. Just some food for thought. Keep up the great work, guys. So I did respond to that and just say, hey, thanks for the comment, and that we have commented in the past about how this company has used their stolen KO designs to fund their original ones, but we just didn't mention it on that particular episode. So, so it's I didn't really get into the like IP infringing and all that kind of stuff. We've discussed that at length in the past as well, and just we've just kind of settled on the idea of collect what you want to collect. These things are getting produced, and if I want to buy third party and Jeremy wants to buy just mainline stuff, that's our business, I don't tell Jeremy that, third party is way better and he should buy third party stuff because it's superior. And he doesn't tell me that the stuff I'm buying is theft and I should go to jail because I'm stealing, I'm buying products that are stolen from Hasbro. Yeah. We just kind of respect our own decisions.
Right. I mean, it's not really on the consumer. like
It's
you don't
not.
blame the consumer. The blame needs to go to the company, and if it's in the marketplace being sold by a reputable store,
Right.
let people do what they want to do. But
Exactly. So, if it's a product that's going to be up for sale, if I want to buy it, it's my business if I want to buy it. And, Hasbro's a big company, right? It's not like they're a mom and pop shop that need help, protecting their IP, or their product because they're the only ones out there that do it, or, they just, if somebody comes in that's competition, they're going to put them under. Hasbro's a very large corporation, and they can take care of themselves. My, stance on, third party is not going to influence their stock, price or whatnot. I'm not going to, I'm not going to hurt Hasbro because of what I say here on the podcast or what I buy at the store. And I still buy significant amount of mainline stuff. But that's neither here nor there. The main question and concern was the theft of Marcelo's art, and that's why we brought it up in alt mode. There's nothing really that we can do as consumers other than not purchasing the product, knowing that the company does this shady stuff. If Mech Fans Toys or Mechanic Studio are using artwork that is not acquired, in a legitimate way, then, I can have the opinion that I don't want to buy it because I don't like, supporting a company that does that kind of stuff. If somebody has the opinion that this artwork's out there, it's online, and anything that's online is free game, it's up for grabs, you can have that opinion, but it's different than saying, I see this picture of the Sydney Opera House that I did not take. I didn't take that photo because, frankly, it's been that's a bad example because I've been to Australia, but let's say the Empire State Building, because I've never been to New York. But I like that picture of the Empire State Building. I'm going to use that picture as my avatar on Twitter. No, I can't see anyone having a problem with that. It's just, representation of my avatar. But if I now start taking that photo and placing it on a product that I make for myself, right? And saying, okay, well, this is my, my product that I use, and this is the avatar that I use to identify myself. Well, now that's a problem, right? Because 1, I didn't build the Empire State Building. 2, I didn't take the picture. And 3, I don't live in New York, which is kind of confusing. But that's neither here nor there, I guess, as well. So that's the problem that I see with doing stuff like that, is the image that is being used is simply not theirs, and they're using it to represent an item they're selling. If they were just posting it on Facebook or using it to, to show their products by, saying, hey, we're making a Springer figure. We're going to call it, I don't know, helicopter car guy. And it's going to look like this picture that Marcelo drew, right? But all these pictures are happening online. Then when the figure actually came out, the box only had pictures of their figure. I don't think anybody would have any problem whatsoever. But the fact that they're using the picture on the box to sell the item, right? That's where the line gets crossed. And nobody can tell you what you can and can't buy. But, it's just, it's an interesting kind of discussion, and obviously Marcelo being the one who's affected right now is it's an interesting kind of topic, and you're going to find people on both sides of it. Mike, you weren't part of the discussion last week. Do you want to get in on any of this?
Yeah, sure. I'll offer my quick opinion on it. I work in the arts field in 3D art, so whenever the work that I or my department has put out shows up on other websites, that irritates me. But in the end, I know it's because my company has sold the product that I made to them, and it's all right, fine, whatever. When it comes to, I think there's two different things that happened with the discussion, especially with what happened to Marcelo. First off, the fact that they took his artwork and just plastered it on their box, that's not cool. Considering how much they're likely going to be charging for these figures, and I mean, in the end, just hire an artist. Spend the like $200-$300 or so. Commission an artist to make some actual artwork for their box. It really isn't that hard. Hell, if you want to save yourself the trouble, go on to like DeviantArt or something and take a look at some of folks who have already done images. Just contact them and say, hey, this image you did of the Sharkticons, I think it's cool. Can I purchase the rights from you to put on this box? It's as simple as that. They'll either tell you yes or no, and you know what? If they're a fan artist, more likely than not, they'll say yes. So the fact that these people had to steal his artwork to put on the box is just ridiculous. There's no reason for that at all. As far as actually like taking the designs, I'm not quite sure kind of what Mech Fans Toys. That's kind of Mech Fan Toys, right?
Yep.
As for them taking the design for that, I don't know. I find myself coming down far more on the third party side on this thing, because I know that the discussion was like, hey, if you want to design your own cool transforming robot and make it and go that road, then cool, that's great. But the fact that we buy these things is because they're figures of characters that we like, and it's from a franchise that we like. I think you guys brought up the Unrustable Bastards line that's of the motorcycles. It's like they look really good, they're cool and everything, but I'm not going to drop the several $100s to pick up these figures, because I don't have a connection to the character, whereas I do with actual Transformers characters. So in a case like that, yeah, it's it's just, it feels very gray. And the comment that we were just talking about here, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, how many times has Hasbro and Takara actually designed a vehicle mode that is reminiscent, or at least echoes the design of a real world vehicle, or kind of it kind of does that for, and it doesn't credit anyone for the design or anything. Or even better yet, when Hasbro releases a figure of a character that was designed by like a comic artist, like that Stealth Bomber Megatron, for instance, and they just boom, make it, that's it, and just it shows up. I don't think Hasbro contacted the artist and said, hey, you know what, we want to go ahead and make a toy of your design. It's like, no, they never did that. So even though they have the right to do that, the legal right to actually make designs based off of that idea, it still feels very, very gray on both sides. It doesn't feel like there's any one party that's 100% in the right on this. But I will definitely say that what they did to Marcelo's art and just took it, yeah, that's wrong. Don't do that. Seriously. Just spend $200 or $300 and just have an artist do some custom artwork for you. That's all. Or better yet, if you really don't want to have them do that, just take some photography of the damn thing and then put that on the box, like so many other third-party companies do. There's no reason to steal an artist's work and just toss it on there. No reason at all.
Cool. Yeah, and Charles, Jeremy, we got into it last weekend about it. Do you guys think about anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think I've said everything last week.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a good discussion to have, but yeah, I think we've hashed it all out.
And those two drop the mic.
Well, thank you very much for your question or comment, Ichabod Drift. That was, it's great to have these discussion topics, and it's there's no way to solve this, right? It's going to happen, and if we if we get Marcelo's stuff to get, to people to stop, or companies to stop stealing his stuff, then somebody's going to start stealing somebody else's stuff, right? It happens every single day, and somebody's going to be the victim of the art theft at some point. But anyway, thank you for your comment, and we welcome anybody else that wants to get in on this discussion.
All right, and that takes us to the end of this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. As always, at the end of every episode, we give a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrons. So thank you again to John 4X11 Good, Dinobot Maximize, and Demon Tech 82. Thank you so much for continuing to support the show at our highest level. And that will do it for this week's episode. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.